Well, the A's are getting a temporary home, so maybe it's fitting that Locked On A's has a temporary host.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, A's fans, and welcome to Locked On A's. This is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and we do our best to get you an A's podcast all year long. And, well, we're without a host for a while, and so I've decided to step in. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Normally, I am the host of the Locked On MLB podcast, and I've been there since the beginning of the 2019 season. And while I am a native New Englander, I lived many, many years in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I have been an Oakland A's historian and researcher. I have no shortage of books about the history of the A's, past, present, and future. And quite frankly, I have been banging the drum for a while on the Locked On MLB show for the A's to stay in Oakland. I love the Oakland Coliseum. I love Oakland A's fans. I think going to A's games is one of the great joys you can have in all of baseball, because for people who have never been there, people who only see the empty seats and the people complaining about this and think about Brad Pitt and Moneyball complaining about things, going to an A's game is probably the best and most pure baseball experience you can have. You are going there in a stadium that has none of the frills that some of the other cities have, pretty much any city that isn't called Tampa Bay. And you're not there because it's a cool place to go. You're not there because it's hip. You're not there because of a big water slide or a big catcher's mitt or a big thing to hit a home run into or a building in left field or a train or Bernie Brewer sliding down. You are there for the pure joy of fandom of the Oakland A's. I'm going to play a episode either at the end of this week or the beginning of next, where I'm at the Oakland Coliseum, and I'm trying my best to illustrate that for people who have never been there. The best part about A's games, at least in the years that I've been going to it, the first A's game I went to was in 1988, before Ricky Henderson came back. That was, of course, the year they went on to the World Series against Los Angeles. And I've been there through the Dave Stewart Bash Brothers years. I was there when things started falling apart in the 90s. I was there at the beginning of the Moneyball era. I've been to playoff games in Oakland several different decades. I was there when they got good again in the 2000s, and they became one of the most fun teams to root for I've ever seen in my life in 2012, 2013, and 2014, right through the most recent iteration. You know, the A's haven't had a lot of downtime in terms of being bad. When you stop and look at how many times they rise from the ashes. And the best part of it are A's fans. The A's fans are some of the most underrated and underappreciated fans in all of baseball. I didn't say they show up in the greatest numbers, but when you go there, no one is just being a casual A's fans. Everyone there loves the team. Everyone is there because they love the green and gold, and virtually everything cool at an Oakland game is cool because of what the fans are doing. Blowing the horns, banging the drums out there in the bleachers, all the signs along the left field and right field wall where there are specific logos for individual players. It's wonderful. Everyone who's a baseball fan should go to at least one Oakland game, because you're focused on the love of the game and the love of the team. And it's those fans who just got a 2x4 to the face. And while we're between hosts here on Locked On A's, it seemed important to me to come in and at least have a place for A's fans to have a podcast where we can talk a little bit about the A's, talk a little bit about this absolute fiasco that's been happening, leave comments, share, talk about things. And I am absolutely livid that this is happening. There's wonderful history of the Oakland A's, championships. You know, the A's have won more championships in Oakland than the Mets have in their entire history. In fact, the Mets and Angels have combined for fewer championships than the Oakland A's. If you don't believe me, it was the A's who beat the Mets in 1973. I got the 71 program, the 72 program hanging up on my wall behind me. Plus, I got my Let's Go Oakland Cup there. So we all know this is a travesty. And even if a move was inevitable and the talk of the finances was this and not wanting to pay for a stadium went that way, the way it was handled with no transparency and nothing but disregard for the community of Oakland and the outright lies that have been going on, beyond all that, and the giant middle finger that was placed in the face of A's fans, beyond all that, this entire operation feels like that kid doing their homework on the bus. How could you be caught at the end of a 10-year lease without a plan? And don't tell me they have a plan, because they don't. You don't believe me? A week ago, they didn't know if they were playing California, Nevada, or Utah. That's a pretty big, wide margin right there. That's not a metro region. That's not a suburb. Now, they've had this 10-year lease since 2014. Let's back up how long ago 2014 was. That was the year that the A's lost to the Royals in an absolutely gut-wrenching wild card game. Who knows what would have happened if they won that game, because they did have the pitching to go far. I digress. That's a long time ago, in what seems like a galaxy far, far away. And they've had all this time to come up with a plan. And if it was clear that it wasn't going to be Howard Terminal, which, by the way, was what I was kind of rooting for, what I truly was rooting for was to just build it in the parking lot of the Coliseum. Raiders aren't there. Warriors aren't there. Build it there. We already know how to get there. We can already take the BART there. There was nothing wrong with there in terms of the location. Yeah, downtown parks are kind of sexy and all that, but just build it right there. Just right there. Build a new stadium right there. Was there no money in the Bay Area? If only there were a few millionaires there to contribute. But if it was clear that wasn't going to be the case and they were going to move, the fact that they were in this position, that the lease was up and there was no place to move to, shows a absolutely stunning amount of, how do we say this, lack of preparation. What was their plan? Seriously, what was their plan at this point? As they burnt every bridge and then look, I was like, geez, where are we going to go? I have a couple questions to ask A's fans, and I'd like you to place them down here in the comments section. But the fact of the matter is they are going to Sacramento. And does that mean they're going to go to Vegas? Does anyone really believe there's a plan in Vegas? There's been no, forget the talk about a stadium being built soon. There's been no renderings. Where the hell is it going to be? At this point, shouldn't they be at least pouring concrete? Shouldn't they at least have plans made and hiring contractors and still saying, instead of saying, I don't know, maybe this could look like this? I do want to talk to you. In our next segment, we are going to talk a little bit about the fact that they're going to be moving to Sacramento. I want to know your thoughts, and I want to know your take on what this means for the rest of this year and maybe moving forward. Hey, are you a fan of daily fantasy sports? Well, you need to go to PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more than or less than or 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Yet the regular season has begun in baseball, and we're starting to see some cool stats running up. Don't miss out your chance to get your favorite players with a diamond with your PrizePicks entries, whether it's strikeouts, RBI, first inning runs. Take your pick in the more than or less than from PrizePicks today. And by the way, PrizePicks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account for this baseball season. Now, let's see what we got. I got it right here. We got my app. More than for O'Neal Cruz. And, I have a feeling about Eugenio Suarez. I'm going to go more than for him as well. Download the app today and use code Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's right. Download the app today and use code Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. Pick more. Pick less. Do you know what? It's that easy. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you to bring the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV's channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So I want to know, I need you to tell me, first of all, how many games are you going to go to this year? Put that down in the comment sections, or maybe put it down there on Twitter at Locked On A's on Twitter. By the way, if you want to follow me, I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, or whatever it's called now, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. I know I'm going to go to several games. I'm going to be up in the Bay Area all summer long. I know I'm going to go to a couple of games. I have several friends of mine who are from the East Bay, diehard A's fans, live and die by the A's, and I'm going to insist that we go. I know this is putting a tiny bit of money in Fischer's pocket, but you know what? You can't fight every battle. You have to be able to go there and be able to say, at least have that last moment there. At least have one more time there, for old time's sake, to paraphrase Tessio in The Godfather. And yes, when I start bringing up people who are about to get whacked in The Godfather, we're in a dark place baseball-wise. I know I'm going to be at the final ever game at the Oakland Coliseum. I just can't resist being there. I just can't. I have to be able to go to that final game, so at least I can be there for that communal moment, at least to say goodbye to Stomper. But are you going to go to other games? I am. Because as awful as Fischer is, and he is, and as dishonest as he's been in this whole situation, and he has, and as disrespectful as the A's organization has been to just about everybody, from the legacy of Ricky Henderson to the dignity of the grounds crew, and they have shown them no dignity. I still want to go. I still want to be there. I still want to experience it when I can, because when it's gone, and it will be in less than a few months, in just a few months, it will be gone forever. You won't be able to go back again, and that bitterness will dissipate, and what will be left is regret. So let's go. How many games do you think you can go to? I'm going to go to at least 5. I'm going to go to at least 5 games this year at the Oakland Coliseum. I don't know. The only one I know for sure is the last one. But let me know if you're going to go. Let me know if you want to have any meetups or saying hello, because this is a unique form of camaraderie that I think is going to go away. And that Oakland Coliseum area, which, by the way, saw 3 teams win championships in that complex during the 1970s. The Raiders, Warriors, and A's all won. And keep this in mind. The city of Oakland housed 3 championships before San Francisco won 1. San Francisco didn't have a championship until the 49ers started winning in the 1980s. Giants didn't win. The Warriors didn't win when they were San Francisco. And if you wanted to have a champion, you went to the East Bay. And when they met head-to-head in 1989, granted, no one remembers the result. They only remember the earthquake. It was pretty decided on Oakland's side. However, that's going to be gone. And the legacy of all the players and all the championships will be gone too, because I know and that's going to be leveled. There'll be apartments there, probably a Best Buy. And next thing you know, there might be a little plaque for Ricky Henderson, a little plaque for the Warriors, and a little plaque for John Madden and the Raiders. But that'll be it. It'll be kind of like if you go to where Seal Stadium used to be, not far from KQED in San Francisco. Yeah, there's a plaque there, but it's the memories there are gone. So how many games are you going to go to? I mentioned this on another show, and I felt there could have been a nice symmetry if the Warriors had stayed in the Coliseum, indoor Coliseum, or whatever the hell it was called now, or if they built a new arena in Oakland. If the A's had left and the Warriors stayed in Oakland, there would have been a nice sort of symmetry in the Bay. You would have had the Giants, Major League Baseball in the city. You would have had the Niners, the NFL in Silicon Valley. You would have had the Sharks, the NHL in the South Bay. You would have had the Warriors, the NBA in the East Bay. You would have had all the regions around. Marin can go do whatever they need to do. But you have all the regions around the Bay would have had their one sports team to represent that specific region, and it becomes a unifying team for everyone. But now Oakland gets nothing. They get nothing. And there's something oddly typical about that. I've had more than one person ask me, well, what's the difference? How far away is Sacramento? It's nothing to do with distance. It's all psychological. The distance of the Warriors is just across the bridge. And yet something's been ripped out of Oakland. So how many games are you going to go to? And how many games next year do you think you'll go to in Sacramento? Now, it's going to be odd. I can't fathom that they're going to not call them the Sacramento A's. They can't just be the A's. The what A's? They play somewhere, right? They're not the bingo long traveling all-stars. God bless you if you get that reference. They're not a permanently on-the-move team. They have a home, and it may be a temporary home, but that home is not Las Vegas. It's going to be Sacramento. And you know and I know the move to Las Vegas is not written in stone. I think there's a better chance they're going to stay in Sacramento. Las Vegas doesn't want the A's. It doesn't make sense to move them there. That's a terrible market to put a baseball team. Sacramento is technically a better market. So how many games do you think you'll go to in Sacramento? How many games do you go to now? And are you going to buy any merchandise? There's lots of reasons to be bitter, lots of reasons to be angry. But do you know what? Hold back on that a little bit. Celebrate a little bit. Watch the movie Slapshot, which was about a team about to be moved, and suddenly the fans rallied behind them. Didn't stop the move, but they had that last year to rally around them. The greatest justice of all would to see the A's finally win a World Series again, but I digress. Let me know how many games you're going to go to. Let me know exactly where you stand on the Sacramento move. Put it down there in the comments. When we come back, guess what? We actually have some good news. No matter what your sport is, this is the ideal time to be getting tickets and seeing games live. Let me tell you something. I just used GameTime, which is the best place to get your tickets. And I got quality tickets for games at both Dodger Stadium and in Anaheim and in Oakland. May not be hard to get tickets in Oakland these days, but the ones I got were the best. GameTime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets so easy and so quick. And the prices on GameTime actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from the seats, and the lowest price guaranteed, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. I went to go see the Red Sox and the Angels in Anaheim. Hot ticket. And if I just went to a normal site, who knows where I would have gotten? They would have put me somewhere. I would have been the wrong view, would have facing the wrong way. Sometimes the tickets are not the best. And sometimes the views aren't what you want. With GameTime, I got a great deal, and I was able to choose between a couple of different locations. I actually like to sit in the second deck and a little bit closer to the first base line. I like that angle that way. I get to see this thing out there in left field. I went through GameTime, all the views, and I found the perfect seat. And I saw that it was near the aisle where I like to sit as well. You can get that specific. And the prices I got were fantastic. I used the zone deal because I said I want to be in that section. They found the ideal seat for me. Got it. Boom. Play ball. Sox lost. What are you going to do? What you need to do is you need to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. For a limited time, all users get $20 off of any Major League Baseball purchase of $150 or more in the GameTime app with the code FIRSTPITCH. Terms apply. That's code FIRSTPITCH for $20 off from March 25th to April 14th. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices. Do you know what they are? They're guaranteed. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on the Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV's channel app. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows like this one, covering every league. Find Locked On Sports today, now available on the free Fire TV's channel app. Hey, guess what happened this weekend? The A's won a series. Hey, let's just take a moment to push aside all the anger and everything like that and point out the fact that the A's looked really good in Detroit this weekend. And let me tell you, we all knew that Detroit was looking at the A's on their schedule, and the Tigers have started this season like a house of fire. And they started the season 5-1. They won 5 of their first 6 games and looked and said, we got 3 games against the A's. And they were probably saying, we're going to be 8-1. And images of 1984, not the Orwell book, but the World Series, started dancing in the heads of the Tiger fans everywhere. And they won the first game. Tigers won the first game. Even the A's played well. Tigers won the first game, and I'm sure they were thinking, oh boy, we could be in Sweepsville. Absolute Sweepsville. Then we saw what happened on Saturday's game. And, bless you boys, bless Paul Blackburn. Blackburn pitched his 6 shutout innings, looked solid. And Zach Geloff, giving us a nice preview of Sunday, got on base 3 times and scored all 3 times. And Brent Rooker, who has been released from his purgatory of wearing the wrong armband, I kind of believe that conspiracy theory. He wound up getting the home run and helped put them away. And it was a nice 4-0 victory. Look at that. Who's going to sweep? Nobody's going to sweep. So in comes today's game, and it was the Zach Geloff show. In fact, for those of you who follow the podcast I normally host, which is Locked On MLB, where I talk about who owned baseball every day, well, guess who owned not just that game, but the All-American League was Zach Geloff. He fell just short of the cycle, and he got 4 hits. He got 4 RBI, hit a huge home run when need be, and the Zach Geloff, a reason to root for the A's this year. He looked really good, and it was an old-fashioned butt whipping. Where was this game against the Tigers in 2012 or 2013? But Toro had a good game. Butler had a good game. Obviously, Geloff had an amazing game. Bleday had a good game. Noda had a good game. Boyle pitched well. Muller pitched well out of the bullpen until he let up a home run. Kelly pitched a scoreless final inning. It was a nice butt whipping. And the Tigers, all cocky, got out, came back, and said, wow, we just lost to the A's. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And if you're worried about things, A's fans, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something right here and right now. I'm going to guarantee you that the A's are not losing today. No way, no how. How do I know that? Well, the A's are idle. The A's are not playing on Monday. So there you go. It's not a full schedule. Actually, I had to double check that. Yeah, it is not a full schedule. No Oakland game tomorrow. And the A's resume the games on Tuesday, where they play the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers. So we'll see how that turns out. The best thing A's fans can hope for in terms of an actual season is that everyone takes them lightly. The refreshing thing, if you're an A's fan, about this weekend was the A's finally won not just 1, but 2 games in ways that are not a bases-loaded walk. Their only win before was that bases-loaded walk in the game against Cleveland. And I think there's nothing stupider than ending a game on a bases-loaded walk. Literally, the season's on, or the game is on the line. The season. I suddenly started thinking of Kenny Rogers when he was pitching for the Mets. The game is on the line. Just lob it down the heart of the plate. What's the worst thing that happen if you lob it down the heart of the plate? A walk-off grand slam. Fine. But you could pop up. You could take it. You could ground it out. Someone could make a great play. There's a lot of things that happen that can happen if you throw it outside the strike zone. But hey, you take it and you take it, and the A's will take a victory over Detroit in Detroit. So now the A's are going to wind up taking on Texas, and that game is in Texas on Tuesday. So maybe we'll be talking about a lot of A's wins. I'll tell you something we are going to be talking about. We are going to have part of an interview that I had with Melissa Lockhart, who's a terrific writer for The Athletic. She's been covering the A's for years and years, and we're going to get her thoughts on what's happening. That's going to be a two-part interview. And also, I'm really happy that I'm going to be having Wes Hoffman. Wes Hoffman is a stand-up comedian from the Bay Area. He's kind of a staple in comedy clubs in the Bay Area. And I've known Wes for many, many years, and he is the most rabid A's fan I've ever met in my life. And he has some definite thoughts on this, and he's not one to hold back. So I'm going to be your host here for the week. We'll see how much longer we're going to be without an A's host. And if you know someone or want to have someone contact in terms of you might think would be a good permanent host for Locked On A's, let us know on Twitter or on Instagram. Check us out, Locked On A's, and throw a name into the hat. Who knows? But I am your temporary host. I'm basically your Sacramento, but I'm a much nicer Sacramento. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.